How many of you had attended the first session on presentation skills? Nobody? Okay, so this is supposed to be a rerun of the second part of this workshop on presentation skills. I will quickly run you through the first file in case you had missed it so that you get connection between all of the ideas that and then we will progress. Okay, okay, Suresh, that's all right. We'll go through all of the points. Give me 1 second. Okay, we'll start, and in case others are also joining, let them join as we go through the presentation. This is about how to make a presentation using a PowerPoint. It could be a presentation in your classroom, it could be a presentation at the place where you work, in front of your superiors, or just in front of your team. Our concern is to look at presentation as a communication skill and thus think of it as something that we can train ourselves to do. Okay? We're not looking at this as something some people are inherently good at, some are not. Rather, we are looking at it as a simple conversation that we have with our audience and thus looking at a few things which can help us become effective communicators. Okay? Every presentation starts off with a script, which is the textual element of it, the slides, the visual element of it, the delivery, which is the actual performed element of it. Okay? So even if you have a very good script and really good slides, unless you deliver your presentation well, unless you build a narrative effectively out of the script and the slides, you will not have a good communication with your audience. So this is what we are learning here. Okay, how to ensure that we can do all of these three together and effectively. Your presentation should have a message, and this message is visually represented using your slides. But even with the message and the slides, a presentation is not in itself made. You can't expect your slides to make your presentation for you. You are the one who should construct a presentation and a story out of the material that you have, either in textual form or in visual form. That is where your delivery is important. You prepare much ahead for every presentation, or if you don't, you should prepare much ahead for every presentation. And the first element of your preparation is research. After researching, you will come up with a great deal of content. You brainstorm with your team, you construct a mind map, and then you find your core message. Your core message is whatever it is that you want to communicate to your audience. Okay? Then you form an outline of your presentation or you script it with an opening, a body, and a conclusion. At this point, it is still very vast. So you need to edit this rough draft by focusing on parameters of criticality. That is, those things that are critical for you to make this presentation, they cannot be avoided. Those things that essential for you to make a presentation, and those things that are desirable in your presentation. It is important to remember that you can't make a presentation solely out of critical points. Okay, you will need to include some essential points which glue together your critical points, and some desirable elements which might not necessarily be in the form of text or in the form of slides. Sometimes taking a pause, asking your audience if they've understood everything clearly, or if they have a question to raise. That can be a desirable element in a presentation. Okay, so you need to understand that a presentation is not built entirely out of critical points alone. You have essential elements in it, you also have desirable elements in it. And if you omit these desirable elements, then your presentation will become that much less effective. Okay, these are called parameters of criticality. Try to be minimal both in terms of text and in terms of how much of time you take to make the presentation. Make sure that you do not overstep the time allotted to you. There are certain methods that we can use to make a presentation. If you are making a presentation on a debatable topic, what is a debatable topic? A debatable topic is the kind of topic which does not have one single right answer. Everybody will have different perspectives on it. So, as a presenter, you're essentially just conveying your perspective or your standpoint on it. Okay? So, you need to make that point clearly and strongly. That is where you use the PREP method. PREP method is an abbreviation: position, reason, example, position. You take your position, or you tell them what it is that you think about this topic. You give your reasons as to why you take this position. You provide an example to illustrate your position, and then you reassert your claim which you made in the beginning. This is the position, reason, example, position method, or the PREP method, which is ideally suited for debatable topics such as germline genome editing should not be allowed until the technology is fully developed. Okay? Now, there is no one single right answer here. You can give your perspective on it. Should we allow human genome to be edited such that traits become inheritable? Or should we not do that until we are fully sure of the consequences of such a perspective that you think is correct? And you can give your reasons for that. Okay? While you are arguing your case, you can use specific phrases such as I think, I believe, etc. to state your position. In order to reason out why it is that you take this position, you can use phrases like, or rather, you can use expressions like, because. The primary reason for my stance is. Firstly, now, firstly always anticipates a second to list out. Okay, but this is a huge fan favorite amongst technology students for some reason. They really like listing out points one by one. You need to make sure that even when you use this method of listing out points, your points should not sound like bulleted points. They should be full sentences which make sense to the listener. Okay. In order to illustrate your example, you can use expressions like for instance, or for example, as in the case of, etc. Okay? In order to reassert your claim, you can use expressions like as I said, all in all, to conclude, clearly. All of these can be used to reassert your claim. That is to restate your position, and that becomes your conclusion in the PREP method. Remember, position, reason, example, and its position again. You are restating your claim. Therefore, such a statement becomes your conclusion. These are all things that we discussed in our first class, which is why I'm going a little fast here. In case you feel like you need to take a closer look at any of these, you can go to the YouTube channel for the program, and the content would have been uploaded there. You can have a look at it. Okay. Now I'm just running you quickly through all of these so that you don't feel like you missed out on half of it. Okay. This is an example of the PrEP method concerning the genome editing topic, where you assert your position, reason out why it is that you take the position, give an example of a certain instance of human genome editing where the consequences are unpredictable, and then you restate your claim. Okay? There is another method called the past, present, future method. Such a method, which uses the chronological order, past, present, future method, can be used when you are trying to deal with a very information heavy topic. And what are you trying to do here? You're not just presenting this information, rather, you're also trying to based on this information. So you have a heavy load of information. When you have a great deal of information present, you follow the chronological order, and that method gives you the past, present, future formula, right? Such a method is ideal for topics like an end of the year update on a project. So you are trying to build a story in as chronological narrative by using the information that you have at hand. While you use this method, the chronology becomes your structure. Okay, but when you use the PrEP method, the position, reason, example, position method, there is no chronology that you're adhering to over there. You are building a structure of your own on the basis of the position that you make. Here, on the other hand, it is the chronological order. The chronology simply means things as they happened in the sequence of time. Past happened first, then present, and then we move on to the future. The chronology sort of builds your structure for you. This is an example of a presentation where the past, present, future method is used. A company initiated a certain plan. So they go back to when they initiated the plan, what the plan was, how it has been progressing over the 11 months. This is a 1 year
Excuse
report
me,
at
ma'am.
the end of the year. So yes,
Ma'am, you are lagging.
my voice is not coming
Yeah,
across clearly enough.
yeah, ma'am. Your voice is fluctuating.
Okay, give me a second. Is that better? Can you
Yes,
hear me
ma'am.
better now? Okay. Thank you for pointing it out. Sumant, that it was you, right?
Yeah,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Thank you, Sumant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Vishal.
Yeah, ma'am.
You are
I just
something.
wanted to ask you that are there any recordings of the sessions, previous sessions?
There are recordings of the previous sessions. They are available on the YouTube channel for the program.
Ma'am, we are
Please
unaware about.
access the link to the YouTube channel either through the course calendar or through the discourse forum.
Actually, we are unable to find such links. Can you please post one if you have, or if it is possible?
It's not possible for me to access your course calendar. No, I'm just a resource person over here. That is why you will have to go to your course calendar and find the link. Or you can also go to the discourse forum. The links are there. Try
Okay, ma'am.
going there, try finding the link. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, Ekam Jyot.
Ma'am, I have not been able to access the discourse forum.
You've not been able to access the discourse forum entirely.
Yes, whenever I click on it, it shows a login option, and whenever I try to log in, it shows some sort of error.
I'm not sure why that might happen. You'll have to write to the support team for that. So
Yeah, I
there are
have
things
written.
that I can handle in terms of like course content, and there are other technical issues which only the support team can help you with. Okay?
Yeah, I've written a mail. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Ma'am, she haven't got
Somebody else?
invitation link.
Sorry?
Ma'am, she haven't got invitation link for creating username and password for discourse.
Okay, one second. Suraj, your response is to Ekam Jodh, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
Ekam Jodh, make a note of whatever it is that Suraj said and try to do take something out of it if you can. I'm not sure what he's referring to, but I hope it made sense to you.
Yes, thank you.
Aditya, you wanted to say something? Yes, Aditya, ask. Go on. Aditya? Okay. Raju, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I was not able to join previous two workshops, so I don't have any idea about what's going on here. So please brief
That
me.
is okay. Whenever you're free, go to the YouTube channel for the program. The videos will be uploaded there. You can watch the video again. I'm also giving you a quick recap of the last session so you won't feel like you're joining this session halfway through. Don't worry. This
Thank you, ma'am.
to whom is this? You're welcome. To whom is this session going to be most for? This session is for English 1 and English 2 students. Anybody else? Somebody wanted to ask something? Is everybody
No,
clear?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you expecting on this? I don't understand. You were expecting more on what? Like, why do we need this at this point? Okay, so we handle the English component of the course for you, right? Like I said, communication is a key part of your English course, right? So, whenever it is, I mean, it could not be now, it might not be now, but I'm sure that when you progress to the level of placements, for instance, or when you are trying to sit for a job, or maybe even after you've got a job, uh, you would need to make a presentation in front of this module of your education. We think it is necessary for us to tell you what are the things that you need to keep in mind while you make a presentation. That is why you need this at this point, because at a later point, nobody is going to tell you these things, I feel. Everybody is going to assume that you know all of these things. Is that clear? Okay, that's
Yes, ma'am.
good. Thank you. Okay, Shivani, what is that? Is that the link to the program's YouTube channel?
Yes, ma'am. My first lecture is uploaded on YouTube.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Shivani. So, all of you who wanted to find the link to the YouTube channel, thank you very much, Shivani.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, is that all? Is everybody clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll continue with the presentation then.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Right. This is an example of the past, present, future method. A plan was implemented. That was a year ago. They explain what the plan was, and then they go through an overview of how it progressed over the months, and they take some lesson from it. What worked, what did not work, what should we change when it comes to the continuation of the plan? Should we continue the plan or should we not continue the plan? This is the past, present, future method. Here, obviously, you're dealing with a year's worth of information and you are trying to make a decision on whether or not to continue the plan, to the future. That is to make a prediction about the future concerning the plan using the information. That is why a chronological method of using the past, present, future formula is best suited for this kind of a topic. The next method is the problem cause solution method. Problem cause solution method is ideal for business presentations or policy presentations where the scope of the issue is limited. The scope of the presentation is limited. It's very specific and focused. Okay, you identify a problem, you try to investigate into what the causes of that problem might be, and then you find a solution to it. This is the problem cause solution method. Okay. For example, if there is a content streaming platform such as Flatnix over here, that's a funny name. Okay. If you have a content streaming platform, and if there are less subscribers or people do not adapt to the platform as much as they thought people would, then there is a problem. You identify the problem, you try to look into the causes of the problem, what might be causing this, what are the reasons for such low subscriber rates, and then you try to find a solution for the problem. Now obviously this kind of a method is used when there is a problem. You need to make some sort of a correction to a plan that is in place. That is where you have the problem cause solution method handy. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. This is as much as we had discussed in the first session. So far we have covered 3 methods. What is the first method? Position, reason, example, position. Prep method, best suited for debatable topics. What was the second method? Can somebody tell me the second method?
Present, future.
Present, past, future method.
Yes, very good. Thank you. Both of you, thank you very much. Past, present, future method. You follow a chronology, and this is best suited for presentations that deal with a great deal of information and are trying to make a prediction on the basis of that information. Okay. The third method was very specific problem, cause, solution method. This is when you have a specific problem, you're trying to identify the causes and suggest solutions for the same. Okay. Now we go on to the last method, which is the AIDA method. Attention, interest, desire, action method. This is ideal for presentations where you need to persuade somebody. What is persuade somebody?
To convince.
Yes, to convince somebody to act in a certain manner. That is persuading someone. You need to persuade people in instances such as while making a sales pitch, while launching a product, or while giving advertisements for a product. Okay? An advertisement for a spell checker is an example of an instance where the AIDA method is used. Attention, interest, desire, and action. Now you need to make sure that you capture the audience's attention. You generate some amount of interest in the product, and you make them feel that they should have this particular product to their use or in their use. Okay? When the consumer acts, they act on the basis of that desire. That is why you first need to capture their attention, then generate their interest, then produce some amount of desire for that service or product, and trust the consumer to act on the basis of that desire. Grammarly is the example that is used here. So Grammarly tries to capture your attention by telling you writing's not easy, but Grammarly can help. Okay, and a lot of us might. Somebody wanted to say something? Raju, you
Ma'am,
wanted to
is
say
it like, ma'am, is it like getting someone's attention, generating interest, and generating desire to take actions like this? It goes.
I didn't understand the question. Could you say it once again?
I was saying that what I am trying to understand, how I am trying to understand is getting the audience attentions and
Mhm.
generating the interest about whatever we are showing, and how people we are trying to generate desire in people. On that, people will take action. Is it like that? I am understanding correct?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you for Raju for having clarified that. I hope that is how all of you understood it. Okay. First, you generate the interest of your target audience by using either catchphrases like the one that Grammarly is using, or in several advertisements. Advertisements are very attractive to us. So advertisements have varied strategies of capturing our attention as consumers. So it could be many strategies that can capture a consumer's attention. For example, the use of celebrities, for instance. The idea that some products are associated with comfort, some are associated with luxury, and so the consumer who wants comfort might use something, the consumer who wants luxury might want something else, right? So there are ways in which advertisements can capture our attention. Grammarly, being that it is a text-based software, is trying to use a catchphrase to capture our attention, right? So writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. And then it generates an interest by making it relatable to us. Almost all of us might write sentences that are grammatically correct. But even when your sentence is grammatically correct, it might be wordy. Wordy is something that has too many words in it. So you could cut down on how bulky that sentence is. And Grammarly can help you do that as well. Okay? Something that is wordy might not be the easiest sentence to read. So Grammarly can help you write sentences that are very readable. When you make this statement in favor of a spell checker product, you are trying to tell your consumer that we understand the issue that you are facing when it comes to writing. And so we are here to rectify that specific issue. That is how their interest is generated. And then there is an amount of desire that is aroused in the consumer. Grammarly's cutting edge technology helps you craft compelling, understandable writing that makes an impact on your reader. Okay? So at this point, the consumer feels as if he has this tool at his disposal, then he will be able to craft much better sentences. Okay? He will be able to write very well. So he desires that kind of proficiency. That is what he wants. Okay? And when that kind of desire is aroused in the consumer, a potential customer, the software allows them an opportunity to act on that desire. This is the part where they say, let's make a payment. You want to subscribe to this plan? Go ahead and subscribe to it. Okay? That's how a consumer or a customer takes action. Are you ready to give it a try? Installation is simple and free. Visit Grammarly.com today. So you have people visiting the website and downloading the software and using it as well. Okay? This is how the AIDA method functions: attention, interest, desire, and action. Always remember that action is not something that you can do. Action is something that the other person, your audience or your consumer, can do. You can only give them an opportunity to act on the basis of the desire that you have generated in them. Is that clear?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions so far? In case you have any questions, ask. Nothing? All of you understood? Okay, all good.
No, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ask.
Ma'am, what difference interest and desire? Because like same.
I understand that they sound almost similar, but just because you're interested in something, you might not take action in it. For example, look at the point that is listed under interest and under desire. Okay? Now, if you look at the point that is listed under interest, that is something that tells the customer or the potential customer, the consumer, that this is a service which can cater to a specific problem, a specific need that the consumer faces at the moment. At that point, you have the consumer's interest. But the consumer at that point has still not developed a desire for the service. You develop a desire for something on the basis of all the good things that you can expect out of it. Why is it desirable to have Grammarly? Yes, it is very interesting. You can have Grammarly. It can even help you. But why is it desirable to have Grammarly? Why is this a good software? Right? So they tell you that the software uses cutting edge technology. And what do you get out of it? You get compelling and understandable writing. In fact, it is that proficiency that the customer desires to have. So, this is a service that allows them to have that kind of proficiency. I understand that the difference between interest and desire can seem minute, but it is still there. Think of it this way: you would not pay money on the basis of just something that you find interesting. On the other hand, you would pay money on the basis of whether or not you find something desirable. Clear? I hope that is clear.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay, right. Anything else?
No, thank you, ma'am. Proceed.
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's go on. Okay, now we go on to the visual element of the presentation, which are the slides. Now, in a slide deck, you can have different kind of slides. Slide deck is simply the group of slides. So if you look at this presentation, this is my slide deck. You can have a cover slide, an overview slide. Overview slide simply deals with all the objectives, all the things that you want to convey through this presentation. So if you would like to see my overview slide, this is my overview slide. Okay, now this is not wordy,
like a
but
content page of a book.
yes, like the contents page of a book. Correct. Yes. So this is my overview slide. You can also have a textual, not a textual slide. You can have as many textual slides as you find necessary. When you are using a textual slide, a slide with text on it, make sure to use a legible font. Legible is readable. Minimal text. You should not stack your slide with lines and lines of text. That can be very overwhelming to somebody who's looking at the slide. It can also make your audience space out. You will lose the interest, the interest of whoever is listening to your presentation, right? And interest is necessary, as we just saw, right? Then there can be visual slides. Visual slides can have relevant pictures or relevant graph works. Graphs and charts can be used when you are trying to visualize data. There can be presentations which require charts and graphs. There can also be presentations which do not require charts and graphs. For example, presentations in my domain, which is literature, do not require a great deal of charts and graphs. But there might be a necessity for other kinds of visual slides. For example, if I'm discussing drama, I would need to have some element of either pictures or videos of performances on my slides. because it is essentially something that is conveyed visually. I can't just write about drama and make an effective presentation. On the other hand, in your domain, you are data scientists. In your domain, you might need to visualize a great deal of data in the form of charts and graph. Do not think that you need to use charts and graph everywhere. You don't. You use these on the basis of the kind of presentation that you want to make, right? A section header slide. This is necessary when there are multiple sections. For example, when you are making a group presentation and there are multiple people presenting, you might need section header slides. A summary slide. A summary slide is necessary because otherwise, a lot of the time when you are making a presentation, it can go on for a while, right? Like my presentation will go on for an hour, and at the end of it, you will not remember all the points that we discussed very clearly. So having a summary slide allows you to recap or know very clearly what it is that you should take away from this presentation. It is something that makes your presentation accessible to your listener or your audience. That is why you need to have a summary slide. You can also have a thank you slide. It's not just a matter of propriety, but it also indicates a conclusion to your audience. Okay, for
Ma'am,
slide 10, yes,
ma'am, could you please repeat section header slide?
section header slide. When you have
Yeah.
multiple sections in a presentation, such as, for example, if you are making a group presentation and each person is handling a different section of the same topic but a different section, then you would have to use a section header slide.
Oh, that means it's optional.
It is optional. It depends on the kind of presentation that you are making. If, for example, you are the only person making the presentation,
It's
but
not.
you are also sorry.
It's not necessary in that case.
It can be necessary. It might not be necessary. It can also be necessary. Let's say you are the only person making the presentation, but you are making a presentation on a topic from multiple perspectives. You are covering several different aspects of it. So, in order to indicate a transition from one aspect to a different aspect, you would need a section header slide. It's something that shows a transition. If you are moving on from one focus area to a different focus area, you can show that using a section header. If, on the other hand, you are not making such transitions, if you are only dealing with one aspect of an issue, then you would not necessarily need a section header slide.
But then it would be better to show it in the beginning of the presentation.
In the beginning, no, section headers do not come in the beginning. Let me show you an example. This is a section header. This is an entire slide that acts as a section header. It simply shows that now I am transitioning from presentation methods to the visual element of it.
Okay, 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 got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
That is one aspect of my presentation. And if you go back, this is also a section header. This is within the same presentation made by the same person, but I am using these slides here in order to indicate a transition or to just give you an idea of what it is that the upcoming slides will be dealing with. You see this? You
It
understand that
feels
I'm
like
talking about
we are,
content?
yeah, ma'am.
Sorry.
It feels like moving into next page and next page, and when we get to last page, like this header shows that we got into last page. It's a transition.
Mm, it might be better to use an analogy of subheadings. Think of a chapter in a book. It's dealing with one overarching topic or aspect. But again, if you have subheadings within that chapter, you understand that. One second, Kiran, I'll answer you. You understand that you are dealing with one aspect of it, and then you are transitioning to a different way of looking at it, and maybe you're considering it from a different perspective, what somebody said, what someone else said. Each subheading would indicate to you a slight transition within the same topic. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear.
Okay. Uh, who had asked me the question? I forgot who asked me the question. Sumat asked the question. Never mind. I hope you understood it. If you have further questions, do shoot. Okay. Uh, Kiran had asked, where will you get these PPTs? You will get the PPT in your portal, in the course portal, where you get all your other materials.
Okay.
Okay. One other thing that I want to tell you here is that the cover slide, the title slide, will have the title of the presentation. It will also have an identifier. An identifier in the case of a presenter can be the name and the designation. It can also have images concerning or related to the presentation that you're going to make. Okay? Right. For templates, you can consult websites such as Prezi.com, Slidescore.com, Google Slides, Slides Carnival, etc. You can also just use Microsoft PowerPoint. This is just for your information. If and when you feel like you're hard pressed for templates, you can use such resources. When it comes to images, use only images from Creative Commons. Otherwise, you can it can be a copyright violation. If you are using images from specific sources, make sure to cite them. You can use a combination of serif fonts and sans serif fonts. Do not use fonts that look too informal. Make sure that before you take your presentation in front of an audience, you have spent some time formatting your slides, making sure that everything is even and that everything looks consistent about it and that it looks neat and presentable. Okay, citations can have different formats. Different formats of citations can be specific to certain disciplines. For example, in my discipline, which is literature, we use a certain format called MLA, that is Modern Language Association. There are other formats like APA, Chicago, Harvard, etc. Now, I'm not sure about what style of citation is most commonly used by data scientists. That is something that people who have expertise in your domain would know. Whatever style of citation you use, make sure to use it correctly and consistently. It is very important to cite the sources that you have used, be it of images, of text. If you've used a quote, for instance, if you've used some sort of graphical representation of data from somewhere, you need to cite that as well. How to cite is something that you have to learn on your own. Over the years, you need to look up what style of citation is specific to your discipline, and then you'll have to ensure that you develop the skill of that citation. Right. This slide shows two different ways of representing data. The first, it is the same data set, but you see that there is a significant difference in the visual presentation of the data. Okay. Now the second presentation is preferred over the first because there are either by way of color or by way of marking which invite your attention to specific areas on the image, which makes this presentation more accessible to an audience. People who are listening to you or people who are seeing your presentation immediately know where to focus. Okay, it does not look like an endless string of numbers. that can be overwhelming, that can be off putting. So, if you are trying to use data, make sure that you use data in a form that is accessible to your audience. This is a representation of serif fonts and sans serif fonts. Sans serif is what you see on the right, serif is what you see on the left. Serif fonts have a decorative element on the top at the end of the letter form. Serif fonts are more suited for long lines of continuous text because it allows you to distinguish each letter using the serif. Now, if you look at things like ascender and a descender is that part of the letter form that is extending beyond the baseline, and the ascender is the stem of the D, for instance, that which extends above the X height. Okay. Then you have counter. Counter is the white space that is enclosed within a letter form. It is necessary to have a balance of white space and text or images on your slides in order to make sure that your slides do not look cluttered. We do not want cluttered slides. There should be a balance of white space and lettering or images on your slides. Serif fonts are more suitable for long lines of text, while sans serif fonts can be used for bigger letters like headings and subheadings. Either way, do not use silly looking fonts. Do not use fonts that look very ornate or very comical. Okay? Avoid those kind of fonts for a formal presentation. That do not rely too much on your slides, do not dump too much of data or text on your slides, and customize your slides and your script based on your target audience. I cannot speak to you the same way that I would speak to somebody in, let's say, somebody who specializes in literature, for instance. Okay, there are a lot of things that would be easily shared between them and me, whereas between you and me, there is still the gap of, there's a cross-disciplinary gap, for instance. Okay, whenever I offer examples, I need to remind you that the examples that I offer are from my own background and they might not immediately apply to you. So you need to make sure that you customize your presentation, both the text and the slides, such that it appeals to your target audience. You would not speak the same way, or you would not present in the same manner in front of an investor and in front of a team member. Let's look at it that way. Death by PowerPoint simply implies that if you rely too much on your slides in order to communicate your ideas rather than on your presentation or your delivery itself, that can be detrimental to your presentation. It will not allow you to make a good presentation. Always know that the slides do not make the presentation. You make the presentation. So it is up to you to make sense of the slides such that your audience gets your core message. This is where your delivery gains importance. When you are trying to deliver your presentation or your ideas, it is important to be calm, composed, and confident. Okay? A lot of times, when we are a little nervous, this is something that I do all the time, our speech gets faster. Sometimes when I'm trying to stick myself within an allotted time limit also, my speech gets very, very fast. Also, in my own mother tongue, I speak very fast. While I'm making a presentation, when I speak English as well, with my friends, it's rather fast. But when I'm making a presentation, I need to make the conscious effort to control the pace of my speech so that my ideas are conveyed effectively. In order to control the pace of my speech, it is necessary that I be calm and composed. Take a deep breath, compose yourself. Know that this is essentially just an act of communication. You can get your ideas across to your audience even though you are not a great orator. Okay? Before presentation, you can rehearse your presentation with somebody, with a friend, to the mirror, or even to your pet. Make sure that your script and your slides are in sync, that they go together, that they help you build a narrative. If there is any mistake on your slides, make sure to correct those mistakes. If you are using an online platform, figure out the specificities, the technicalities of that platform before you venture out to make your presentation. Position yourself such that you will be facing your audience. Do not avoid eye contact. Make your audience feel as if you are addressing them. Now, it's not about how you look. Okay, it really is not about how appealing your appearance is. Rather, it is more about how well you address your audience. If you are trying to talk to someone, make sure that they feel talked to. Do not make them feel as if you're talking at them. Okay, make sure that they feel addressed, right? Dress appropriately for the presentation. Okay, you cannot dress in a very informal manner while you're making a formal presentation. And in the era of Zoom and Google Meet, make sure to wear pants. That's necessary. Take a deep breath. Be calm, speak slowly and clearly. Make sure that you do not overstep your allotted time limit. While you're opening a presentation, you can ask a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question to which
Excuse me,
you do
ma'am.
not.
Ma'am,
Yes,
can you repeat again? I lost my internet connection.
I am sorry, but I do not think I have the time to go through it again. Can you go back to the video and watch this
Ma'am,
section,
just
please?
this side, this slide.
The slide is already done. These are just some pointers before you make a presentation. You could rehearse your points. You need to make sure that your slides and the script are in sync. If you are using a platform, an online platform, figure out the technicalities of the platform, dress appropriately for the presentation that you're going to make, and wrap up within time, which is something that I'm struggling to do. Okay. Now, when you are opening a presentation, you can ask a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is the kind of question to which you do not expect an answer. Rather, you ask the question to invite the attention of your audience. Okay. You can also provide the answer to a rhetorical question by yourself. It is a tool that invites the attention of your audience. You could state an interesting fact, uh, or you could cite a short story or an anecdote. You can also state the purpose and the outline of your presentation if you want to make a very grim and strict sort of presentation. Okay. While you're making the conclusion, make sure to provide a summary of the points that you've covered, restate your major points, and convey clearly what it is that you expect your audience to do on the basis of all the things that they have heard through the presentation. That is what is known as a call for action. So you have learned such and such through my presentation. Now, this is what I want you to do. This is the action that either we are going to take as a team or I expect you to take after the presentation. Then you deliver your exit line. You thank them and you leave. After a presentation, you ask them if everything was clear to them, if there are any questions. Okay. And when somebody asks you a question, make sure to break down the question into manageable chunks. You cannot there might be things that you cannot address. There are things that you might not have the expertise to clear. In those cases, clarify all the things that you feel like you can clarify and admit that you do not have the expertise to clarify other things. Okay. You could also tell them, if this is an audience that you will be meeting again, if you are a teacher, for instance, you could say, I will clarify and get back to you, or I will look that up and get back to you. That is also a very acceptable answer. Do not try to bluff your way through a question. Don't claim that you know the answer to things that you don't know, in fact, right? It's also important to not react to a question, you're trying to respond to a question, not react to it. Do not be provoked by a question. So, these are your takeaways from this presentation. You can prepare for a presentation beforehand. You do not have to be a great designer to create effective slides. You only need to manage the content on your slide effectively so as to make a good presentation. Be minimalistic, both in terms of time as well as in terms of text and design. Right. Now, what we have here is a very text heavy slide. Now, this is not the ideal way to present information on such a topic. What we have here, on the other hand, is a more
Ma'am,
effective way of. Yes,
ma'am, your voice not coming clearly.
my voice is not coming clearly.
Your voice is breaking, man.
It's
I'll try
fluctuating.
to turn off. I'll try to turn off my video. Tell me if that makes it better or if it's continuing to be very scattered. Right. What you see on the slide right now is a more effective way of arranging the same information that you see on this text-heavy slide. However, the second way of presenting is more ideal because it does not look like an undifferentiated block of text. Whoever is looking at the slide knows where to focus.
Ma'am, voice
Is
problem.
still
Still
breaking?
fluctuating. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think now it's clear, ma'am. Try once.
But
How about now?
here, I
No.
think.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just
Okay. Right. Now, these are just a few questions to ensure that you've understood the concepts that we've discussed so far. If you are giving a presentation on whether or not working remotely is the better option for both employers and employees, which of the following methods would you follow? This is a topic which does not have any definite answer. It is a debatable topic, so to speak. In that case, what method would you use? Yes, A, the prep method. That is the correct answer. Very good. You are the head of sponsorships at the annual College Fest, and one of your biggest sponsors is backed out last minute. Now you find yourself short of funds. Which of the following modes of presentation would you opt for when you want to convene a meeting with your team members to resolve this? That is the hint there. You want a solution. So which of these would you use?
B.
B, the
B.
problem cause solution method. Very good. You have been asked to give a presentation on the evolution of telecommunication sector in India. That's a great deal of information. Which of these would you use?
C.
A lot of information. Chronological order? Yes, the past, present, future method. Very good. Now, these are just ways of presenting data on a slide. If you look at this, which is just text, versus this, which kind of divides up the text into manageable units.
Ma'am, where did you get? Ma'am, where did you
Sorry?
get the images from?
I'm sorry, where did I get the images from?
Yes. Well, like, which website can we download these images from?
I'm not sure about what websites I took each image from. This is also a standard material that is used for the students. So if you want to know where each image is taken from, I can ask and get back to you. That is the best I can do. I'm sorry about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I do not.
I thought like there
Okay.
was this image like Google Images or like where I can find these emoji type images for like the
Ah,
price or
right.
like that. I thought
Mm,
there was a website. Thank
understood. Okay. If I get to know any more information, I'll convey the same to you. Okay. These are just ways of organizing text on a slide such that it appears more accessible to the audience to whom you are speaking. I am skipping through these slides because essentially they do not convey any new information, rather, they're just examples which show you varied ways of presenting the same data. Here we have a short video. I will go through that just a second. Before that, I also need to cover this part, which is how to make a 2-minute argumentative speech. Okay? When you are trying to make an argumentative speech, your typical slide template might not work. Time is of great importance here. You start with an introduction, you make your argument, and then you stick to the argument. Okay? The body of your presentation would be constituted by the reasons you have to make this particular stand, to take this stand. It's a little bit like prep method, position, reason, example, but this is an argumentative speech. Always anticipate counter arguments that can arise. Try to have sufficient refutation. Refutation is the way in which you would refute or rebut opposing viewpoints that you might get with valid reasons. Do not be silly, do not be provoked once again, but use valid refutations and then reiterate your original argument. Then you can arrive at a conclusion. Do not take the stand as if this is the only stand that can be taken. Present counter arguments, also give valid reasons as to why you do not subscribe to any of those counter arguments. This is the format of an argumentative speech. Remember that time is of essence here. Now, this is the example of some 2-minute debate propositions. Humans should extend their technological potential and colonize other planets. Security cameras invade our privacy and should be banned. Cats make better pets than dogs. Living in very cold climates is preferable to living in very hot climate conditions. Here, again, you do not have a specific answer to any of these propositions. Rather, you take a stance, you give your reasons for taking the stance, you anticipate counter arguments, you refute those counter arguments, and you conclude with a reiteration. Reiteration is simply a restatement. You reassert your original argument. Now, we are not going to go into this activity simply because I do not have the time to do that. Okay, I will try to show you the video if possible. Okay. I want to ask you before I play the video, how many of you are of the opinion? This is just the example of a very effective presentation. Okay. How many of you want to watch the video or would you like for me to conclude the session? I understand that I've overstepped my time limit by 5 minutes. You can watch the video on your own if that is what you prefer. Give me an answer. I do not want to impose myself on you. Is it all right if I play the video?
Yes, ma'am, it is all right.
Okay, then let's watch the video.
Ma'am, it is not playing for us.
Yes,
The
ma'am, the
video is
video is
not
not
playing.
playing yet.
No, ma'am. We just see a play button in the middle of the screen,
Oh,
and then, yeah.
it is playing for me, so I assumed it should be playing for you as well.
No, ma'am, it is not playing.
It's still not playing?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
We just see a still image with a play button.
Oh, I'm really sorry. In that case, we'll have to conclude without the video. I'm really sorry about that. I thought it was playing for you. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I thought it was playing for you.
I thought
Okay, I'm sorry.
something is going on. You are trying to play it.
Ah, right. Thank you for pointing it out. I'm really sorry about that. This is a technical glitch,
No
and
problem, ma'am.
we met. Uh, so we'll conclude the session here. Thank you everybody for attending this session. I hope this was helpful to you and I hope this was clear to you. And I know that a lot of you have these anxieties about where you're going to get the PPT, where can you see the sessions that you missed and all of that. Don't worry about it. These sessions will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. You can access these on the YouTube channel. You will also be given the PPT for your reference. Okay?
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
ma'am.
Ma'am, one last question.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, Raju, go on.
Ma'am,
I'm
ma'am,
not.
I want to
Sorry?
know, ma'am, which one is more preferable in presentation, fact or story?
Sorry?
Ma'am, which one is more preferable in presentation, story or fact?
I don't think there is a strict clear cut distinction between a story and a fact. Okay? So when you are making a presentation, you do not make a presentation using solely facts. Rather, you build a narrative out of those facts. That is the way in which you make an effective presentation. It's not like I'm sure that you as data scientists would know this better than me, in fact, because you deal with a lot of data. And you are aware of the fact that unless you construct a story out of the data that you have with you, it is not something, it does not become an idea which you can convey to another person. That is the relevance. I mean, it's an interplay between story and fact. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. Thank you everybody for attending the session. Have a very pleasant evening ahead. I hope this was useful to you. All the best for your studies.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.